10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the rocket fuel community. My name is Wack. Today is August 2nd, and we've got a whole lot to talk about with regards to the GMC today. So all of you know that yesterday we had the awards announcement, and there were some questions that kind of started about how the GMC decided certain things, why they decided certain things, and that kind of got turned into a whole big discussion about how things are going and what it all means in the public discussions thread for the GMC in Discord. So it started this morning with this post from Jasper saying, "Can't comment on the forum, but I'm very disappointed to see that this did not get funded." And it's a link to Pateris' application, where Pateris talked about making a new smart node user interface, making it a web-based interface, like a visual interface, and there's a whole lot more that goes into it, but that was kind of the gist of it. And then Knoshua here said, that the work, like the comments from the GMC, and don't understand like what some of the legal and logistical concerns are. And Jasper said, overall very disappointed at the lack of communication and blanket rejection from arguably the highest tier contributor we have. This is just absolutely turns people off from doing work for the GMC. I think it definitely is worth the cost, and we must move past the notion that the GMC doesn't approve full-time positions. It does. And then Schifrin says, this is not accurate depiction of what happened. He was contacted to discuss how to improve, revise the grant structure. And then there's a link to the reply that Schifrin made regards to that. And then basically, like, this started a really, really long discussion about the GMC, what they could be doing better, what the shortcomings are, how numerous the shortcomings are, and kind of like just a lot of ideas basically of how it might be better going forward. But a lot of it was just like, there's shortcomings and there's a lot of problems here. The discussion literally went on for hours, and most people in the Discord didn't even know it was happening because it's like such a small channel. But I think there was some really good points that were made, and for the most part, people were trying to work together to try to make things better. And I think that sometimes like people got emotional, like myself, but most of the time the conversation was really, really fantastic. And Carl here, after like 3 hours of discussion, says, "Jesus, don't you guys have jobs or medical school or something?" Some general thoughts. But then he gave lots of ideas, and then there was a whole lot of discussion going on. Like, it was a massive amount of discussion. So if you are all curious about how the GMC operates in the background, and how some of the decisions get made and some of the processes that happen, definitely check out this thread. Well, not this thread, but like this part of this thread, because there was a whole lot going on here. So I think you should definitely check it out, because I think a lot of people think the GMC is kind of a black box. One of the things that we were talking about is how like not enough people apply for GMC grants, and why or why not that might be, and like all the different things that kind of go into it. But anyway, there was a whole lot of stuff. There was this thread here of one of the ways that we want to increase transparency for the GMC. So Schifrin said, it's lunchtime time for your reading pleasure. So then he linked here to he says the community has advocated quite a while now on transparency regards to GMC member activity. Attached is a spreadsheet that records meeting attendance, payments, channel activity, and forum statistics. Feel free to inquire about current members, and we'll gladly provide you with answers. However, it's essential to remember that information is presented here might not offer complete representations of the inner workings of the GMC. So let's have a look at what is in there. So here, for example, with meetings, this starts in April and goes all the way through to the end of July, and you can see who attended what meeting. And I'm the only person here to have attended all the meetings. with payments, you can see who signed transactions, and of course, not everyone has to sign the transaction for it to go through. We only need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of 9, I think it is, to sign for the transaction to go through. So there's a few people here who signed every transaction: Fornax, Joe, Ken, and me. With channel activity, so this is posting governance and their sub-threads, including private GMC channels, and he says there's some private channels that are not included here. So for Dondo, give me a second, we had 126 comments. For Fornax we had 22 comments. For Joe we had 151. For Ken, 60. For Kevster, who's now not on the GMC anymore, 22. For Mentor, 23. For Object, 23, for Schifrin, 413, and for me, 310. And then there's forum statistics as well, and it says, please note this sheet is not an accurate estimate. There are many cases where members may not have been signed in while reading, or cases where members never sign in regularly. So here, you see Dondo's used it for 23 hours, Fornax 22 hours, Joe 17 hours, Ken 22 hours, Kev 3 hours, Mentor 3 hours, Object 18 hours, Schifrin 22 hours, and me 17 hours. For me, I use it on my phone mostly to read things, and I don't sign in on my phone, I just sign in when I'm on my computer. And then finally we have award cycles, like who submitted April scoring and feedback, who participated in the April final vote, who submitted July scoring and feedback, and who submitted July's final vote. So here you have Dondo, Fornax, Joe, Ken, and me, who've contributed to all of those, and RPL Maxi wasn't eligible for the April stuff, but provided information for the July ones. So yeah, that is a nice little visualization of all the different work, or some of the different work that goes into the GMC, and which member of the GMC has done what with those metrics. So I think this might be a nice tool to keep your eyes on, going forward, just to see who's doing what and how it's all working out, because I think there'll be a lot of good information in there. So anyway, going back to this thread, like I said, there was a whole lot of stuff here, and it literally is hours and hours worth of discussion. So I can't even really summarize it. There was just too much happening. It was a lot. So yeah, definitely give it a read though, because there's a lot going on with the GMC, and if you have ideas of how to make it better, we really want to listen to that. We really want to respond positively to that. So let's all work together to make it better for the community as a whole, for the protocol as a whole. Talking about the GMC, here we had this post from Val saying he found a mistake in the snapshot vote that is happening. He says the vote links to RPIP 26, but RPIP 26 remains in a draft state, and it never went through being finalized. So Val says the current vote has a link to a draft RPIP. There's currently a pull request for reviewing that draft, tweaking and finalizing, but that didn't happen prior to the vote going live. That pull request had quite modest tweaks. See image below with the draft on the left and the pull requests on the right. So he says we're 11 days into a 14-day vote period. So what should we do? If the vote passes, it approves the pull request test. Redo the vote. If the vote passes, it approves the draft text. And something else, see my comments below. Val says my comment is to move forward with the pull request text, since A, that reflected the best state the author had available, and B, changes are quite small. And C, this is a landslide vote at the moment, and D, it is equally easy to vote for a change as to redo the vote. Now, what that means is if everyone who had voted on this said, it approves the pull request text, and that was 90% or 100%, then I think we would have just gone with that. But what happened is there was some really nice discussion here about why this shouldn't be just accepting it, and why we should redo the vote. So Pros here gave some really good comments about how it can reduce legitimacy to just kind of go with the intention of the vote rather than the letter of the vote, and how it would be better to redo it. Rocknet here voted redo because it's the least bad option, and gave some more ideas. Ken says, although I view the edits as minor and non-substantive, I think the legitimacy of the vote matters. We should perform a second vote. Looking Along for Wisdom says it's worthwhile to highlight the sentence saying any GMC member who submits a bounty shall not compete for that. Complete that bounty is not a large edit, but it is moderate difference in terms of effect. No, and then some explanation. So Val says at 33% redo. I'm not seeing a landslide. I think annoyingly we should redo to maintain trust. I'll be changing my vote to align with that. And then I voted after that because I didn't even know this had existed at the time. So yeah, that was not good. But I think this is sadly this is going to be the first time that we've had this issue with any of the snapshot votes. But the text for the new vote is already being written, and I think we will go to vote as soon as possible. I really want this to go to vote as soon as possible because I want the changes to be in place before the September 1st, so we can start a new grants period on time and hit the ground running. But this is definitely a slight bump in the road, so it's a bit disappointing. But anyway, definitely go back and read this whole thread. There is a mountain of text for you to get through, but I think it's really interesting, and I'd really love the ideas from other people in the community about this. Okay, so moving on a little bit here. Here we had this comment from Lee saying there's so many great already so many great things Rocket Pool offers ahead of competitors. Little shocking with the validator queue so full that Rocket Pool doesn't have more mini pools coming online. Can it really be that so many people are risk averse to RPL? Maybe. And then Shifrin says a lot of crypto investors don't understand crypto and they're easily persuaded by Lido's flashy marketing. And then Sneaky says Diva's got some pretty flashy marketing too. Their team isn't as hot as the Rocket Pool team though, so at least we have that going for us. And then what this kind of changed into kind of a discussion about Diva here. So Shifrin says Diva has a team, and Sneaky was like, yeah, I had lunch with them at East Denver, and Shifrin says, how do we know you're not a spy? So anyway, Sneaky says, I hadn't heard of Diva before East Denver. I didn't realize they were a competing protocol. Seemed like some cool dudes trying to do some cool things. And then Prada from Shamir Labs and Diva says at the barbecue place. Sneaky's like, yeah. So I guess that was one of the people who was there. But then Prada, is I presume works with Diva. So they're a new member in the Rocket Pool Discord saying, I don't know if competing is the right word. I'm sure it can be I'm sure there can be more cross collab than with Lido. And that he's a bad spy and that Sneaky's gonna get fired. But I think it was really nice that people from other staking groups are popping into Discord here, the Rocket Pool Discord. We used to have Izzy, who works for Lido, coming in quite frequently. We have Yorick, who's a node operator with Lido, who is a rocket scientist in the Discord at Rocket Pool. Also, he runs Stader validators. So he's got a whole bunch of different things going on, and we've had people from all sorts of different communities popping into the Rocket Pool Discord. People from Stakewise as well before. So it's nice that we was so nice to Prada here. It was really nice, this conversation about Sneaky says I'd be very interested in understanding how Rocket Pool and Diva could collab on something, and Valdorf then said competing isn't a bad word. Healthy competition is good for the industry. And Sneaky says, yeah, unless the collab is a combined effort to reduce Lido's share. And Prada says we're going to release some tools as local first software, DVT implementations, for instance, so people can run their nodes with DVT. I'm sure that can be beneficial for many Rocket Poolers. And then Val says conceivably we could do a liquidity pool with both groups incentivizing. So you could have the Diva ETH in there, our ETH in there, and they could some kind of act as a stable coin pair, like a curve pool of sorts. How here Knoshua says that we can do research and development together. Marketing can be combined sometimes, and then Val says lots of stuff if everyone sees fit, but at the moment we're too early. Diva don't even have a working product at the moment. They're just about to launch testnets. So Sneaky says Diva's building their own DVT implementation, is that right? And then Prada kind of explains how all that's working and how it might work, yeah, it was a really nice discussion. If you want to check it out, pop into follow the link in the description, and you can kind of read along with that. And I think it's really nice that people in trading were so welcoming of Prada, and kind of like had a really nice productive chat. And yeah, it was really good stuff. And then Val kind of said that the next community call will have SSV, and I think that might be the DVT project that the Rocket Pool is kind of aligning with a little bit more. So there's lots of different implementations, right, of distributed validator technology. There's SSV, and there's OBOL, and I think there's even others more than that. So definitely keep an eye on how great it is that we're building such good relationships with other protocols. I really like that. Okay, next we had this landmark for the smoothing pool, where we had another big block came in today of like 14.35 ETH, and that took the smoothing pool to over 600 ETH in there. There's only a couple of hours left now before the smoothing pool closes for this month's rewards. So it was really great that we've hit this great landmark. So it's a good 20% more than the previous all-time high, which is really exciting. Okay, and then Kane shared this. They were talking about how information should be calculated and how it all works. And Kane shared this screenshot where the network submit prices frequencies 5,760 blocks. And Knoshua said you should ask Kane why he didn't go with 5,785 blocks for the interval instead. And he says, Kane says, Ethereum originally targeted 15-second block times. In practice, this was lower as difficulty couldn't adjust fast enough. It's an ODAO parameter if you want to start a vote to change it. I believe Joe is advocating to change it to actual time based in the future upgrade. And Knoshua says you might want to calculate what 5,785 blocks is in seconds before you take my trading shitposting seriously. And it turns out that 5,785 times 12 is 69,420. So here there was some memes that people started making really quickly. Our ETH price updates every 69,420 seconds, and then our ETH price update every 69,420 seconds, and then your token fighting for attention, my R ETH up every 69,420 seconds. So Hippocrates really came in with the memes here, which was really nice and made for a nice comic touch. And finally here we're going to talk about the Beaconchain queue, because we just hit 700,000 active validators. We currently have 77,000 validators in the queue, which is truly astronomical. So we have 22.5 million ETH already is actively staking, and another I think 2.5 million or something around that is in the entry queue. So ETH staking is just remarkably strong, just how it's going so far. It's blown my mind that it's still, we still have over 77,000 validators in the queue. The one thing I wish is that we had a little bit some more Rocket Pool validators there. At the moment we've just got how many waiting? Yeah, pending is 2,000 of that, which is about 3%, I guess, which is kind of where our market share is. I was really hoping that we would increase that market share number to kind of grow our market share as as more of our validators are in the queue compared to other entities, protocols, people. Then we would increase our market share as those came online. But this is kind of in line with our market share, so it seems our market share is kind of stalled a little bit at the moment, but hopefully it will get back on track, and that would be really good. Okay, and we just got this this thing that's coming to trading. So this is breaking hot off the press news. So Schifrin just shared this statement about the July awards. So he says GMC statement for the July awards. He says with the third cycle, this is literally just 1 minute ago he posted this, so this is really breaking news. So this is with the third cycle of the GMC awards closing, the GMC public channel has been buzzing with the vibrant and constructive feedback. I'd like to shed some light on the evolution of GMC throughout the past cycle and provide the community with more details on the current status and internal efforts. Let's start by discussing the significant modifications and adjustments we implemented between cycle 2, which was April, and cycle 3, which was July. So it says modifications from last cycle. Sesh meeting agenda tool was implemented to keep meetings on schedule and allow members to choose what topics to discuss ahead of time. The tool allows individual members to have equal time to discuss their ideas and opinions. It allowed us to focus on applications where more feedback and discussions were required. And in feedback sheets, it says significant improvements were made to the feedback process by overhauling the feedback sheets, ensuring that they will now require more detailed input from participants. In the previous cycle, the sheets had a structure that allowed members to skip providing substantial feedback, leading to a focus on mere numbers and amounts rather than meaningful content. To address this, the GMC restructured the sheets to promote comprehensive feedback, resulting in the remarkable increase of 2 to 3 times the quantity of feedback received this time. This is a new reward cycle. One of the main requests from the community after cycle 2 was better communication and back and forth process with applicants. RPIP 26's new reward cycle will not only allow for open application process at all times, but also has a negotiation phase in the middle of an award cycle. Unfortunately, we're still waiting for RPIP 26's implementation and could not reap the benefits from this yet. And that will be available in the next cycle, which we'll hope will begin on September 1st. Shifrin says, I probably missed quite a few of the changes, but hopefully you get the idea. He says, here's a timeline of events within GMC for the July award cycle. So he says, on the 16th of July, the awards closed. The 16th, the calendar invites was sent out to discuss awards. And the scoring sheet was also published on that same day with a deadline of the 28th of July. And the feedback sheets were published the following day with a deadline of July 28th. On the 24th, the GMC met to discuss awards. On the 28th, the deadline for scoring was extended to July 29th. On the 29th, scoring and feedback closed. And then on the 29th, the final vote opened and the deadline was July 31st. And he says, here are a few of the major talking points from the community on August 2nd in the GMC public channel. It says feedback from the GMC public, favouring retros over grants. The second cycle, the GMC was accused of favouring grants over retrospective awards, or pushing applicants towards retrospective awards. In round 3, 11 out of 16 grants were approved, while 5 retrospective awards were approved. Consistency and precedence. Knoshua previously asked about the discrepancy between Rocket Fuel and Jasper's Twitter spaces. This cycle, the GMC deliberated to award $270 per media episode for all 4 worthy media applications: Twitter Spaces Ken, Twitter Spaces Jasper, Rocket Fuel, and the Weekly Orbit. Moving forward, we are dedicated to improving our approach by prioritizing consistency and adhering to established precedents. We acknowledge that there was substantial shift in the roster between cycle 1 and 2, which resulted in knowledge gap and limited context about past deliberations for some members. To address this, we are committed to making conscious efforts to recognize and acknowledge past decisions while striving for greater continuity in our future processes. Lack of feedback/communication. I wholeheartedly agree that despite substantial improvements in the feedback process during the last cycle, there's still ample room for further enhancement, with some grants requiring more in-depth discussions. The GMC is actively working to facilitate and encourage those discussions. The GMC is in the process of facilitating these discussions, and in some cases, the discussions are already underway. As you can see from the schedule above, one of the challenges we have encountered is the narrow time frame between when all scores and decisions are submitted and when the results are announced. This has led to some feedback being constrained to statements like, we need to discuss more with the applicant. We recognize that this is not an ideal situation and it's something we aim to address. Gathering more feedback from committee members can be difficult right after an award ceremony. This is particularly attributed to the fact that many members devoted a significant amount of their time, approximately 5 to 10 hours, within their already busy schedules. Our hope is that new award schedules will fix this when the discussions are in the middle and not post-award announcement. There are quite a few internal Rocket Pool team developments underway that were reflected in the outcome of the awards. An example of this will be rocket split and dissolving a mini pool. The absence of official announcement regarding the team's ongoing work led to understandable confusion and queries from the community. Post-award roadblocks or stalls like this are not ideal. That information is delayed, but it is coming. Again, we hope that having the negotiation phase in the middle of the cycle will alleviate issues like this. It says plans for the next cycle, recorded meetings. Given the amount of time zones across GMC members, it's difficult to get 9 out of 9 members in the same meeting. Detailed meetings minutes are difficult because members have different opinions, and the point of meetings is not consensus, but for members to share individual feedback and insight. Consensus in meetings would be rushed, and so members are encouraged to take information from meetings into account for their final deliberations. Moving forward, all meetings will be recorded and available for committee members. Those that cannot attend the meeting can be in the loop on what was discussed via the recordings. That's, I think, a really good idea. Fully transparent feedback sheets. This has gone back and forth quite a lot. Some GMC members argue to keep their sheet anonymized but record the submitters. This cycle, the public feedback sheet only had 2 out of 9 submissions. Because of this, the administrator ended up using internal feedback to fill out some of the public sheet. Currently, the plan for the next round is to have every aspect of the feedback sheet from submission to submitters to be transparent and accessible to all participants. So I was one of the people who argued that the information should be anonymized. However, I kind of changed my mind, and I think that should be unanonymized now. So I'm one of the people why this is changing. It says updated GMC member activity sheet, which I just discussed at the beginning of the episode. Yesterday's sheet was published that details meeting attendance, transaction activity, awards activity, and forum activity. Hopefully this is valuable insight for the community. That sheet can be viewed here, and then there's a link. Live RPIP with status and history of awards. Less important but in development nonetheless. There is a project underway of the RPIP to record past and current awards and bounties. It's currently under review by RPIP writers. That document can be viewed here, and then there's a link to GitHub. And they said potentially subcommittees. A recurring idea has been to split up the committee into covering different applications. This would potentially reduce the amount of work required for each committee member. This has not been decided on yet, but will be discussed in our next retrospective. And then monthly award cycles, open applications, monthly decisions, and monthly negotiation phases. So this will be going forward from September, hopefully. So Shifrin goes on to say, in the near future, we'll be scheduling a retrospective meeting to address valuable feedback provided by the community and to identify and improve upon the weaknesses observed during the current cycle. The dedication and hard work of the GMC members is truly commendable. As the GMC look forward to the revised award cycle, the GMC is realistic about the challenges ahead and understands that it may not resolve all the issues at once. Implementing changes and improvements may indeed be a bumpy road, but the GMC is committed to taking proactive steps to address the problems and feedback that have been presented. Personally speaking, today has been a powerful reminder of the challenges that come with the GMC administrator position and being a committee member in general. It's been a roller coaster, but witnessing the passion and drive for improvement within the community is incredibly motivating. While I currently hold the role as the interim GMC administrator, my commitment to striving for a better GMC and better rocket pool is unwavering. I find it hard to imagine a world where I am not fighting for these causes, where I'm actively working to make a positive impact. Thank you all for your feedback, and by all means, keep it coming. Cheers. So I really like that. Like, this literally the first time I read it. So thanks, Shifrin, for getting that out there. Yeah, that was a nice little bonus at the end of the episode for you all. So I'm going to end the episode here. Like, we talked about the GMC stuff a lot today. Hopefully, some really good things will come out of this going forwards, and it'll make the GMC better for everyone and the Rocket Pool community, of course. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.